Hey everyone. Alright, so in this short video, I'm going to be describing to you what my Patreon is all about, what my short-term and long-term goals are, and hopefully in the next 5 minutes or so convince you to become a patron, because honestly, if you look at my goals and the way I've structured it, if you're a patron long enough, you're going to start making more from the patron rewards than you do putting into my Patreon every month when you give your $5 or whatever the conversion rate is outside of the US. The goal here is for you to make or at least break even from your patronage every year, and I'm going to explain to you how all that's going to work, what my plans are, and how this patron reward program is actually just ideally going to get better and better over time as more and more people decide to become patrons. So right here is what I call the patron reward vault. It's been slowly growing throughout the year. This is going to be the first year where patrons are actually going to be eligible to get rewards. So what are rewards? So simple as this. If you've been a patron for at least 6 consecutive months at the end of every year, so it's December, I send you in the mail, I pay for postage and everything, rares and mythics that I've opened up already on this channel. And those rares and mythics are going to vary in price between $3 and $10. Some go even a bit higher, actually, depending on the month and depending on what cards I put in. So, so if you've been a patron for 12 months, you average, let's say, $3 to $5. Let's just go on the low end here. Well, do the math. If you're already giving me about $5 a month of your dollars in Patreon, you might break even within the first year if you're a patron for at least 12 months. If you're less than 12 months, that's actually still a possibility, of course, but your odds of getting higher valued cards increase as you're a patron for longer. Now, I don't discriminate when these patron rewards are going to go out, and I'll just go through the vault as I'm talking here to give you something to look at. As these patron rewards goes out, I'm just going to be randomly selecting them. I'm not going to be, picking the person that's going to be getting them. I'm not going to be picking necessarily on value. But overall, most patrons are going to get a generally good spread of value in their patron rewards. And the way this works and the way I've structured this, and of course all this information is on Patreon. There'll be a link in the description of this video. So, let's say you're a patron for 12 months and you get your 12 rares and mythics, and now it's January. I let you accumulate. I let you keep going. So if you've been a patron for 2 years, 2 full years consecutively, that's 24 months, I will send you 24 rares and mythics. Now I cap it off at 24. So if you've been a patron for 4 years, you'll still get 24 rares and mythics at the end of every year. But it doesn't really matter there, because at the 24th point, you're almost guaranteed, it's almost impossible for you to not get more from your patron rewards than what you put into your Patreon, into your patronage, into this channel. And that's really my goal. At around between 30 and 50 patrons, I'm already making enough to be able to buy plenty of sealed boxes every year for new sets that come out. And that's really the goal of my Patreon. I just want my the money that I make from Patreon to, support buying all these sealed products. That's really it. I expect that even if, let's say, the impossible happened and hundreds of you became patrons overnight, which would be awesome, but not necessarily realistic, all of that money will still go into buying sealed boxes. It just means I could spend thousands and thousands and thousands of Patreon dollars into sealed boxes, and that means more product being opened, and that means that at some point I'll also be able to offer even more rewards. Now, that's the short to medium term. The long term is that if I hit a critical mass of patrons, let's say 100 plus, 200 plus, I can start going to local stores, online stores, doesn't really matter, or even any other MTG related company, and I can start saying, hey, listen, I give out patron rewards at the end of every year. Here's a chance for you to slap your name across all of these patron rewards. Up to 200 people might be getting this, and saying here, slap your logo, support this patron reward program by providing your own, whatever it might be. It might be gift cards. It could be more rares and mythics that they provide, maybe even sealed product, whatever it may be. That's my long-term goal, in which case it just provides more value. And that's really, honestly, hand to God, that is the goal of my Patreon. It's just to be able to sustain buying sealed product, and all those rares and mythics go back to the patrons. And, if I get enough patrons, that also means I'll also be able to maintain the public giveaways that I do, every month going to the general public, so not necessarily patrons. So that's the short and sweet of it. It's really not more complicated than that. Now, what I'm also planning to do is, so you're going to be guaranteed your patron rewards at the end of every year. Of course, I'll be sending out to you. But what I also want to do is for every tier, so tier 2 and tier 3, which is $5 a month, and I believe the other tier is $10 or $15 a month. I'll put all that stuff on the screen so you can see. I only say that because the conversion rates will change depending on where your country is, so I want to give accurate numbers. I will throw in, for let's say 25% of the patrons at each tier, a random extra reward that will come in the form of, my guess is, probably booster packs. So let me give you an example here. Let me reach out here and I just hit the camera, of course. Top quality content on this channel. So look, I recently ordered some cards from Face to Face Games, and in my mail they gave me a booster pack, just 2 booster packs for 2 different orders. And I'm not going to open these. So and these just start collecting. I have a bunch of them. If you watch my sealed product video, you've seen a pile of these just sitting there. So I'm going to start giving these away to patrons as well. Just a random selection of patrons at the end of every year during the award season. That's my way of just adding some extra value. So again, this is really just a value offering. This is the whole point of my Patreon. And if you do the math, you'll see, there's very little way for me to make extra money off of it, because every dollar will be spent going back into my Patreon. So this initial push, I'm hoping to get between 30 and 50 total active patrons at the lowest tier, which is $5 a month, $5 USD a month. That would support the Patreon Rewards program indefinitely. As long as I maintain that, the math I've done, I'll be able to, even if all my patrons end up getting up to 24 months, and they're all expecting 24 rares and mythics at the end of every year that are non-bulk, it'll work. And of course, everything after that is just gravy. I'll be able to buy even more sealed boxes and be able to offer more giveaways, both public, and be able to give more rewards to patrons privately. Simple as that. Nothing else crazy about it. That's really all I want to do. I want to keep creating content that revolves around brews, deck techs, my own opinion videos, foiled mail days, all the different types of videos that you see that I put out every week. And I want the sealed product openings to be supported by my Patreon account. And like I said, I'm going to open it up that, you're going to give me the opportunity to make content, but all those rares and mythics, at least the non-bulk stuff, which is the stuff that really counts, goes right back to you, the patrons, and some of that also gets funneled to the public through public giveaways. Simple as that. I really hope that these 5 minutes, well, I lied, now 7 minutes, were enough to convince you to at least try it out and see what you get at the end of every year. For this year of 2021, you need to sign up by the end of July if you want to hit that 6th consecutive month limit restriction. It's there because I don't want people to abuse it. I don't want you to subscribe, or become a patron 3 months out, get some, and then stop becoming a patron and then do it again, in 3 months into the next year. So you just got to you have to be at least 6 months consecutively and then continue on from there. I can make some exceptions here and there, of course, like if you have to feed your family. I'm not a monster here, but generally speaking, the rules are there so people don't abuse. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on Patreon, well, just click on the YouTube logo and you can go to YouTube and ask me questions there, or you can message me on Twitter if you want to. My DMs are open. Yeah, I would really appreciate your support. Just think of it as you pitching in for a box and getting a share of the loot. It's basically what it is, but you're doing it across dozens and eventually, hopefully, hundreds of people. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it, and have a good one.